morning, guys. Just making a video today. This is kind of going to be a little bit of an emotional video, but as you can see, we're in the D-Max right now, trailer behind us, and we have the Legacy in the trailer, and it's heading home with me. I'm taking it to HMS right now. I'm gonna make a video today, pulling it out of the trailer, showing you guys what condition it's in. Things where I dropped it off did not go as expected. The car's been gone for roughly 8 months or so, and actually it's probably been a little longer than that, but I'm not gonna name any names in this video. I'm not gonna answer who did the work or anything in any PMs that anybody sends me. I'm not gonna make a bad post on social media about this individual, but I will take you guys along and show you the condition of the car, what's been done, what hasn't been done. But yeah, the car's a mess. It's definitely in worse condition than when it was dropped off originally, which is very sad, but I'm not gonna let that deter me and give up on the car. So I'm going to make a series of videos finishing it properly, and I'm going to stick with it and get it done and put it the way it should be. I've already got somebody lined up to finish some of the fab work that wasn't completed, and I'll put him in the videos and let you guys see the work that's going on. But yeah, so today's going to be it's going to be a little bit of a sad day for me, but I'm going to push through it. I'm going to get the car out of the trailer at HMS, and then I'm going to show you guys what the condition is on the car. We're going to go over everything that needs to be done, and we're going to get this thing put together and done right and ready for hopefully some events. There's not a lot of drag racing plans right now in the community because of COVID-19, but at least I want the car to be 100% done, ready to race, turnkey, just ready to go. That's the goal, so that if for any reason we do get a chance to get an event or something comes up, I can race it. I am going to be trying to drive it on the street a little bit and take it to some events. Definitely, like some meets or something we can figure out. So yeah, so that's what's going on today. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll cut back in when we get to the shop and pull the car out. All right, guys. So I apologize ahead of time for wearing sunglasses. People might think it's kind of weird, but it's a very emotional moment for me right now. I don't want to see you guys, see me maybe cry on camera here, but I got the Legacy back. As you guys can see, it's pretty tough. So I guess I'll start this story from the beginning on what was supposed to happen and what didn't happen. But I dropped this car off with the fabricator roughly almost 10 months ago, probably 10 months now. Last season, you guys will remember I took the season off and I didn't race the car, but the season before that, I got really close to figuring out the electrical gremlins that were holding the car back for the entire year of 2018. I had problem after problem the entire year. I blew a head gasket on the car. I was having severe engine management issues with the stock computer. It was cutting out on me after launching the car, and it was misfiring and dropping a cylinder, and I was getting really frustrated with the car, and I'd stay in it anyways and do a pass, which was really stupid, and I ended up blowing a head gasket because of it at PIR. So I'd say probably towards the end of 2018, I switched from the stock ECU over to a Link standalone engine management, a Link G4, and it's made for 04 STI to 05 05 STI. Which is what the car uses for wire harness and engine management anyways. So it was a direct swap. I ended up wiring all the sensors I could into it, oil pressure, coolant temperature, oil temperature, wideband, ethanol content, EGT, everything. So I wired it all in, and the car ran amazing. For the first time ever, the Link literally solved all of the issues I was having with the car for the entire season. So I got it out to Woodburn towards the end of the season. We only had a couple of events left, and car finally started leaving hard, and I was getting confident with the car where it wouldn't shut off on me in the launch anymore. And it was making a little too much power for the drivetrain at one point, and it was launching so hard that it was starting to break drivetrain components almost every pass. So one pass, I left really good. Car picked the front end up. The front tires were almost off the ground in pictures we have, and right on the 1-2 shift, I blew the output shaft in the transmission. I just sheared it right off, just snapped it. So that was pretty heartbreaking. So ended up fixing that and taking it back again, and we ran it again and came out of the hole really hard again. This time blew the front or the rear diff, literally snapped the pinion in half on the rear differential. So at that point, I was very, very frustrated. It just seemed like it was problem after problem, and I was out of time for the season, so there's not much I can do. Another pass I made, I put a new rear diff in it and went back to the track one last time, and I decided to turn the power way down on the launch because I didn't want to break any more drivetrain components, and I was launching really soft. My 60 foots were like 2.0, which is, if everybody in the drag racing world knows, a car making this much power with all-wheel drive, a 2.0 60 foot is like just walking off of the starting line. And then I was putting the power on all the way down the track, and I still managed to get a 10.0 flat at 153 mile per hour. And it was consistently getting faster the entire day mile per hour wise, but without a launch, you're never gonna get in the nines. I mean, I don't know anybody that runs a 2.0 or higher 60 foot and runs a 9-second pass that's not making over 1,200 horsepower to make up for it on the back end. So you know, it did hit one of my goals. My all-time goal was 150 miles an hour higher. It did 153.4, which I was really happy about. But I got a lot of criticism from a lot of people about, you know, it's the fastest 10-second car in the world, or, you know, I don't know what I'm doing, or, you know, oh, it needs a driver mod. You know, it's really easy for people on the internet to just talk shit. And, you know, a lot of these people, some of them are really good drag racers, and, you know, they know what they're talking about, but majority of them aren't. Majority of the people don't even have a fast car, have never done any project like this to this level. So, you know, it's really frustrating that people, you know, are just, you know, I guess it's called keyboard warriors. But, you know, I built this car myself with my bare hands. I had no help building this car, you know, prior to, you know, what I'm going to get into on this video, of course, with the fabrication stuff that I did or had done. So basically, at the end of 2018, I knew I had to make a change. So I knew if I ever wanted to be consistently in the 9-second range without breaking drivetrain parts, I was going to need to upgrade the drivetrain in some way. So before, you know, some people just say, oh, you know, you can run 9s all day on a STI transmission if you know what you're doing and this and that. That's fine. You know, those people might get lucky and they might have it, you know, they might be doing it. But unfortunately for me, I wasn't so lucky. And an STI transmission is not a cheap transmission. So I broke the output shaft in half on it. I blew the rear differential. At that point, it just made sense to me that it just need to make a change. You know, if I'm breaking that many parts, I'm obviously at the limit of those parts, so I need to make a change. So instead of putting it back together and sending it and trying to get lucky and get that pass and hope it holds together, and you know, or destroy an 07 transmission, which is so hard to find and rare these days. It's in good condition, they're just not around anymore. I decided to fix the transmission and the rear differential and sell them. So I sold the transmission and the rear differential and recouped some money from those parts, and then I decided to reach out to a company in the Czech area called CAPS. I reached out to them at the end of 2018 and told them what my problem was and what the car project was about, and they assured me they had a transmission for me. So they sponsored the car, and they chose to give me a sponsorship. I applied for one and they approved it, and after several months of waiting, they sent me one of their fully sequential dog boxes. So that solves the issue with the transmission. So I was really excited about that. I had the transmission, everything. Then the other part of the equation with this car is every time I would run it at PIR or Woodburn, I would get kicked out of PIR immediately because it doesn't have a roll cage, it doesn't have a parachute, it doesn't have proper safety harnesses and all that stuff. It was a street car. It was full street trim, full interior, you know, full weight. And it was going too fast ET wise, and it was going too fast mile per hour wise by a lot. So I was always playing cat and mouse at the tracks, and the officials at PIR were getting tired of it, and it was just a big, you know, the guy at PIR really got on my case last time I was there, and I, you know, didn't go back because I got kicked for a year. So I'd have to go to Woodburn and run events that were kind of skating under the radar a little bit, but I was always stressed out about getting in trouble and all that. So I knew I had to upgrade the safety on the car and make it legal. So that's where we get into the fabrication side of this. So I was recommended to a fabricator by a friend, and I did research on this person, and at the time, the person was legit. Everything checked out. His work was really good. Nobody really had any bad things to say about this guy. So I said, okay, I got a good feeling. And so I took the car over there, dropped it off at his shop, and what was supposed to get done, what the agreement was a full 850 certified roll cage, parachute with parachute mount. The sunroof was to be deleted, so I needed the roof patched, and I pulled the sunroof out of it before I took it over there. Basically aluminum door cards pin the windows, take all the window motors out and regulators to lighten the car up. It was supposed to go to a 3.5-inch hood dump exit for the exhaust to free up some restriction and weight, because this car still had a full 3-inch NVIDIA catback on it, which is extremely heavy and restrictive as well, because we're at the limit, of that exhaust pretty much with the setup. And it was also supposed to get a parachute release system so that I could pull the lever and release the chute. I was supposed to get a rear firewall made for the trunk space for the cabin, to separate the cabin from the trunk, because you need that to be NHRA legal for what I have done to the car. And we even talked about doing a flat bottom on the car, a bunch of aero to help it, because it's completely stock right now and this thing's about as aerodynamic as a brick. And also was supposed to be a drag wing, a custom made aluminum drag wing for the back of the car to reduce drag for the high speed. And the roll cage was supposed to have removable door bars so that it was easy to get it out when I wanted to be on the street. So basically that was the deal. I was told it would probably be 3 or 4 weeks tops to complete everything, which I thought was a little unrealistic. I was prepared to wait a month or 2, maybe even 3, as long as the work was good. So I bought pretty much all the material and parts. I bought the parachute, the seats, the harnesses, parachute mount kit, window net kit, shifter, staging brake, I bought all the stuff and I took it over there to him. And I also paid upfront for all the roll cage material and materials that he asked for. Dropped the car off, and and then he had the car. So as about a month went by, we were in communication, everything seemed good. And I went over and I paid him the rest of the money for labor, and I just paid it off. I just paid it in full. The amount that I paid is not important, and I'm not going to discuss that on the video because it just doesn't matter. But he was paid in full, and this was within a month of dropping the car off. So as time goes by, as some of you may know, my life started to take a turn for the worse in my personal life. Things at home weren't working out, and I made a big decision in 2019, in the summer of 2019, to change careers, and also at the same time I was going through a divorce, so life was pretty hectic. The car was still at the fab shop, and he was giving me updates saying he was working on it and things were going really well, so I didn't have any reason to worry. And at that time, with everything else that was going on in my life, I just didn't have time to dedicate to the car anyway, so I figured it was safer there than it was with me and whatever. So several months go by, and didn't really hear anything. Then I started hearing from around the way people telling me that they were having issues with this particular individual, and I started to get worried. Then I learned that he also started going through a rough time in his life and had a bunch of stuff happen to him, and started having issues. So I reached out to him, and he was responsive and said that yes, he's going through a lot of stuff and he needs some more time. So I agreed. I gave him more time. I said, that's fine, just keep me in the loop and give me pictures and keep me updated, that's fine. This goes on for several more months, and it seems like I keep getting the same thing over and over again, and then communication stopped. And at this point, I hadn't seen the car in such a long time. I had no idea what the condition of it was. I had somebody reach out to me and warn me and tell me to go get the car immediately because they just had a bad experience, and they were getting ready to sue this individual, and they wanted me to get on board to do a class action lawsuit against this guy because there were several other people that have also had some issues. I declined. I said I told them I'm not interested in doing that at this point. I'm going to deal with him one-on-one individually. So I reached out to him, told him what everybody has told me, and he apologized and said that he was making this his #1 priority, no matter what it took to get it done. Several more weeks went on, another month or so, and then still nothing. Same thing, no updates. So at this point, I had a decision to make. What do I do? Do I just keep waiting, or do I go get the car and just get it, even though it's not finished? And I decided to go get it. So I went and picked up the car, and I showed up unannounced, and the car was in his garage, in his townhouse. It wasn't at the shop I dropped it off at anymore, because apparently he lost his shop. And the condition is pretty bad. So I know you can't really see probably in this video right now with this lighting, but the car is a mess. It is an absolute mess. It is definitely way worse shape than when I dropped it off, by far. It's really hard to see the car like this because I put so many hours, and I built this car when I was having a lot of issues in my personal life, and I focused on this car, and this car is what my outlet was. Instead of turning to bad things like drugs and alcohol, I put myself into this project, and I worked on it sometimes 18 hours a day, and I never went home. I just worked on the car instead of going back to a bad situation. So people that know the history behind this car and why I did it and what it means will know that Tom was a big part of this project. And if it wasn't for Tom, this would have never happened, because he's what inspired me to do this. And seeing the car in this condition is devastating to me. It makes me want to give up. It makes me want to just part it out and not put it back together. But I know that if Tom was here right now, I know that he would be over here. He'd be washing it right now and telling me we need to put it together, we need to finish it anyways. And so it's really tough, because there's so much work that needs to be done on the car now. The car is just, it's a mess. I'm gonna make a series of videos. I've decided putting the car back together. I'm not gonna give up. But yeah, I'll show you guys some of the condition of the car, and I hope you guys are ready for it, because it's pretty ugly. And frankly, some of the stuff I don't even know where to start, how to fix. So yeah. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. I'm not gonna lie, this is a huge project, and at this point in the year, in the season, with COVID-19, we don't really have a lot going on. So otherwise, drag racing season would be open already almost, and there's no way this car would be ready. There's a lot of money I'm gonna have to put into this car, because there's a lot of stuff that's ruined and wrong and needs to be redone, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I'm trying to keep a positive attitude on this whole situation. People that are close to me, family, they're extremely upset and angry that this happened, and they're telling me to go online and blast this guy to the next world, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to reply to PMs or DMs on who did it. I'm just not going to do that. That's not who I am. I don't do that. I'm just going to take my anger and frustration and sadness, and I'm going to pour it back into this car and turn it into motivation. So definitely not going to be as far along with the car as I hoped, but I want to get it back together and running and ready, and to, you know, to where it should be. So, well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. This is going to be a multi-part series. The next video I'm going to take is I'm going to go over the details and the condition of the car and what we need to do. I've already reached out to a fabricator who I trust and know very well. This car is not leaving my site ever again. You know, the one time I farmed out some work to get done on it, it went really bad. So this car is never going anywhere again. It's going to stay here in my shop and my supervision. So whoever works on it, I'm going to be right here watching the entire time, because I don't trust it. I don't trust people anymore as far as just dropping it off somewhere. That's not going to happen ever again. So, so yeah. Stay tuned, and make some more videos on this series, and I'll take you guys along the way of rebuilding this thing, and hopefully maybe we'll be able to race it this year. I don't know. So that's it.